neuron structure. The soma, or the cell body, is the main part right here. The axon would be this long extension, and it continues here. So they just kind of cut this off of here, so this is extending down there. Axon hillock is where the soma narrows towards the axon, so it's this triangle right here. Dendrites are these extensions off of the soma, so all these things are the dendrites. Neurolemma is this gray membrane that surrounds the whole axon. The myelin is the beige color that surrounds the axon also. So you've got the myelin, well, first the axon covered by the myelin, then covered by the neurolemma. Where there's gaps in the myelin, it's called a node of Ranvier. So that's a node of Ranvier, and that's a node of Ranvier. At the bottom of the axon will be synaptic knobs. The way this model did it is they showed the synaptic knobs of other neurons that are synapsing on this neuron. So these little orange blobs here are the synaptic knobs. For the nerve structure, that's just a diagram in the book, so I'm not going to go over that. We'll jump right to the brain. The meninges are membranes that surround the brain and protect it. The dura mater is the outermost one. It's all this gray right here. So that's the dura mater. See how there's two layers of dura? Endosteal layer is on the outside. Meningeal layer is deeper. The dura extends down through here to anchor the brain, and that's called the falx cerebri. So this piece right here is the falx cerebri. The tentorium cerebelli is this part of it, so that's also an extension of the dura, so tentorium cerebelli. And you can see that on this model too, is this gray extension over the cerebellum. So it's like a little tent over the cerebellum. The falx cerebelli, you can't see it on the model, but it divides the cerebellum into two hemispheres. So it would be going right through here, but you can't see it on the model, so I have to ask it as a question. The subdural space would be a space right under the meningeal layer of the dura, but it's not really a space. It's only a space if you're injured or dead, so it's not on the model, so I have to ask that as a question. The next layer down is this little orange line. See that really thin orange line? That's the arachnoid mater. The subarachnoid space is a real space that's always there. I've got my fingernail in it right now. So that's the subarachnoid space, and it has cerebrospinal fluid in it. And then the deepest layer of the meninges is this little red line right here, and that's the pia mater. So that just surrounds the whole cerebral cortex. For the developmental regions, remember we talked about those in lecture today? Out here, telencephalon, cerebral hemispheres. Here's one hemisphere, here's the other hemisphere. And then you open it up, and you see the seahorse inside here. His head and his nose are the diencephalon. The head part is the thalamus. The nose is the hypothalamus. Ignore the third ventricle for now. You'll see it again later in your list, and it'll make more sense then. The mesencephalon is his neck. On the outside of his neck, this part right here, these little white stripes, those are the cerebral peduncles. The corpora quadrigemina are the fat rolls on the back of his neck. So these two little bumps, and there'll be two little bumps on the other side. The mesencephalic aqueduct is the tube that runs through the mesencephalon. And the metencephalon is the belly and the piece of coral that he's sitting on, so this whole area right here. The coral is the cerebellum, the belly is the pons, and the fourth ventricle is the space between the two. The myencephalon is this, the tail, and what's in there is the medulla oblongata. So this is the medulla oblongata. Gray matter and white matter. Gray is referring to cell bodies because they look gray. White is referring to axons because they look white. So if you look out here, see how it's darker right there? It's a bunch of cell bodies. That's the cerebral cortex. And then all this white stuff inside, those are axons. Sulci are grooves on the surface of the brain. So this one right here is a really big sulcus. It's called the central sulcus, and it divides the frontal lobe from the rest of the brain. The gyri are the ridges. This one is called the precentral gyrus, because it's right in front of the central sulcus. And then the postcentral gyrus is right behind the central sulcus. Fissures are just really deep sulci. The longitudinal cerebral fissure is this big one that divides two hemispheres of the cerebrum. The lateral cerebral divides the temporal lobe from the rest. Parieto-occipital divides the occipital lobe from the rest. And then the transverse separates the cerebellum from the rest. And then the lobes, frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital. And that's it. We'll stop there.